Hello, gospel reading friends. It is the eighth day of the month, and so we are in Matthew chapter 8 today, reading through the Gospels in 90 days in this year. And I want to comment on just one little section of Matthew chapter 8 today. And hopefully, as you're reading this and getting a bigger picture, maybe you're well acquainted with these things, or maybe they're brand new to you. And sometimes there's just a section or something that kind of jumps out to you on any given particular time. So I want to talk about Matthew 8, starting in verse 18. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." That's a bold declaration, right? It reminds us kind of like of Peter sometimes. Again, bold proclamation. And Jesus's response, verse 20, Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." So this is Jesus's response to this guy. He's not, doesn't seem to be super excited that he's offering to follow him, nor does he say, "You can't follow me." He says this: "Foxes have dens, the birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." So what's he saying here? I think what he's saying is, following me is not going to be comfortable, right? There's no hotels where we're where we're traveling. It's not a life of comfort. It's the very opposite of it. And I think, one of the important things here is this idea that we can't, I say we can't, we can't follow Jesus on our own terms, or we can't follow Jesus with conditions. Jesus, I'll follow you as long as. And this guy made a bold profession, but one wonders if he has counted the cost of what it would mean to follow Jesus. And to me, the thing that's interesting about this, and I'll read one other example here in a minute, is that we are not told the response here. Right? Sometimes, like we have when people come to Jesus, like the rich young ruler, and Jesus says, "Sell what you have, give to the poor, come follow me." And it says he went away sad because he had great wealth. He didn't choose to follow Jesus. Of course, other people do. In this case, we're not told about any response, verbally or in action, of this man who says, "I'll follow you wherever you go." And I think that's probably intentional so that it puts the ball in our court, right? So that we're not left with resolution to the story that lets us kind of tuck it away and move on, but rather invites us into the story. If this were you or me, and we said, "Jesus, I want to follow you," hopefully for some of us at least that's the case. And Jesus responds with a word of challenge. It might not be comfortable. As a matter of fact, it's not going to be comfortable to follow me sometimes, at least, or much of the time. And so, how will we process that? The other thing that immediately follows that, it's got some more contextual questions for us. Another disciple said to him, "Lord, first let me bury my father." But Jesus told him, "Follow me and let the dead bury their own dead," which sounds really harsh, right, to us on initial reading. And there's been a lot of discussion about what this person could have in mind. We often imagine as we read it, like literally, like your father just died, and you're waiting for the funeral the next day, and Jesus says, "No, we can't even wait a day," which sounds really harsh, right? Um, that could be, but I think it's less likely. More likely, there's several different things that could happen. Either my father, is older, or I have to be here whenever he does die, or to do kind of the longer term process, or I have to maintain responsibility. I think the core point, whatever one of those we prefer, and you can dig into those in some commentaries and that kind of thing. Whichever option there we prefer, I think the biggest idea is that Jesus claims allegiance over our most important allegiances outside of him, which is really interesting because that's really only something that God himself could claim. One of the 10 commandments, right? Honor your mother and father. Like, that's extremely important. And Jesus says, following me takes precedence over the most important other thing that there is. Right? And so Jesus also, he's a Jewish rabbinic style teacher. He's purposely, I believe, causing extreme examples that make us really think, are we in on this? Or do we just kind of think we are? Do we like the idea of following Jesus more than we like the commitment level that it really calls to? So it's one of those things we have to process here in the Gospels as we read through them in 90 days. Love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you again soon. Bye.